I knew you were on behalf of the 300,000 FSU alumni around the world. The FSU Alumni Association National Board of Directors and Chairman Dale Green, FSU class of 1974, welcome you to the 63rd annual Kickoff Luncheon. That's where you are. You know, the sounds of the marching chiefs can mean only one thing. It'll soon be time for the FSU Seminoles to begin defense of our national championship. How does that sound? And you know, there are many reasons to be thrilled to win a third national championship last year, not the least of which was that we were finally able to hear the FSU fight song in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. That was great. Speaking of the FSU fight song, as you know, the composer of the most famous fight song that I know of, Dr. Tommy Wright, passed away this past spring at the age of 95. Seminoles live long, good lives, don't we? This family, Tommy's family, is here today, and I'd like to ask them if you would just sort of stand, please. Where are you? I don't know exactly where you're seated, but somewhere Tommy's family. I understand there's two groups. There they are. And I would like to ask you to join them in a moment of silence for the greatest professor in FSU history. Before we hear his great song one more time, a moment of silence for our friend Tommy Wright. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Seminoles, your marching chiefs for 2014. How about a big round of applause, huh? Go Chiefs. The Big Eight plays the drums and the flush follows. There they go, the sousaphones. Thank you very much, Chiefs. Now it's time to introduce the head table as we continue our program. Beginning at your right, my left, is the president of the FSU Alumni Association, Scott Atwell. Scott Atwell. And next to Scott is the vice president of the FSU Student Alumni Association. He's a senior from Lake Mary, majoring in finance and economics, Kevin Corp. Kevin. Skipping over our next speakers, you'll hear from them a little bit later. Let's go over here. And at the chairman of the Seminole Boosters from Bainbridge, Georgia, Mike Harrell. Mike, raise your hand, please, if you recognize. All right. You got some big footsteps to follow. You know that, Mike. President of Seminole Boosters and CEO Andy Miller. FSU's Vice President for University Advancement, Tom Jennings. And Executive Vice President of the FSU Foundation, Andy Janji. That is your head table. FSU's team chaplain, Clint Purvis, is today on the injury list. Back issue. Can't play today, but hopefully can play in 8 days in Dallas, Texas. Pinch preaching for Clint for the second year in a row is Bob Tyndall from Killarn United Methodist Church. Bob, please say grace for this meal today. Bob Tyndall.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the freedom and the privilege of being here today. While so many in this world are worried about being shot or having enough to eat or a place to live, we are so privileged to be here, to have fun, and to enjoy sport. May we truly be thankful for what we have, and may we do it in real ways of reaching out and helping others. As we gather to celebrate last year and to look forward to this year, we ask for your blessings on these young men. Teach them that with honor goes responsibility. Use them to be a shining light in a world that desperately needs light. Help them to serve as role models and positive examples both on and off the field. And may we, who are fans, view them and their coaches not as commodities, but as real people. May we enjoy the sport and remember that it is sport. May we set higher standard for fans, for other schools to see. And as you have called us, may we strive to do what is right, to love you and to love others as we love ourselves. And as we speak of entering a field of battle, may we remember that there are brave young women and men who stand today in fields of real battle around the world to protect us. Lord, we pray your blessing on them. And now thank you for this food and for the great abundance that we enjoy. And I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Bob Tyndall, for gracing our lunch today. And enjoy your meal. Before we get to the head table, take a few minutes, and then we'll have some presentations. I know you want to meet the team, and I also know you want to hear from the head coach. I do, too. We all do. In attendance today, happy birthday, Bill Munford, Senator, State of Florida, Bill Munford, big Seminole, member of the Seminole Caucus, Representative Michelle Raywinkle Vasalinda, Representative Dan Rollerson from Plant City, and Representative Alan Williams. Thanks for joining us. That's your FSU caucus in the state legislature, which is just up the hill a teeny bit from where we are, okay? The FSU Alumni Association is proud to recognize its corporate partners whose financial support underwrites all events throughout the year. Here are our partners. The FSU license. That's what you put on your bumper to help deserving students attend FSU. Legacy Toyota. Our friend Les Akers is right up front. He's right over here, and that's where you buy your next car. Liberty Mutual and Mercer Consumer. That's where you buy your insurance. Did I say Liberty Mutual and Mercer Consumer? I did. Churchill Classics. That's where you buy your FSU diploma frame and other Spirit items. And by the Florida Prepaid College Plan, that's how you save today for their tomorrow. Here at the head table, and I digress just a moment, is a guy by the name of Andy Miller, President and CEO of Seminole Boosters. He's a pretty smart guy. About a dozen years ago, he started buying Florida prepaid contracts to use for athletic scholarships. and so follows the lead of the national champions, Florida Prepaid. It is a winner. Ladies and gentlemen, when you patronize these corporate partners, you help Florida State University. FSU license, Legacy Toyota, Liberty Mutual, Churchill Classics, Florida Prepaid College Plan. We'd like to also, you knew there was going to be a commercial here, didn't you? Yeah, there's no such thing as a free lunch, even one you pay for. We'd also like to tip our cap to our media sponsors, WTXL, ABC 27, dedicated to you, and you can watch Jimbo Fisher's call-in show every Wednesday night on ABC 27. And 103.1, The Wolf. Just don't say that the week of the 27th. The new radio home of Florida State football, The Wolf. And the Tallahassee Democrat and Tallahassee.com. Grab a copy or log on for your Knoll news coverage and photographs. There you go. WTXL 103.1 and the Tallahassee Democrat. Thank you very much for participating, our sponsors, and also reading, watching, listening to our media co-sponsors. Next, I believe. Has everybody finished their meal? I know the players have. They were here first, and they eat in a hurry because they have meetings and practice to go to. For the 6th straight year, we have had the great opportunity of allowing fans the chance to break bread with our players and coaches. Some of the faithful have enjoyed the chance to better know the FSU coaching staff, and now it's time for them to meet them and recognize the fellows that worked so hard and were part of this tremendous 2013 season. We'll begin by introducing assistant head coach and offensive line coach Rick Trickett. Rick, right here. Recruiting coordinator and tight ends coach Tim Brewster. Tim Brewster. Co-offensive coordinator wide receivers Lawrence Dawsey. Special teams coordinator running backs coach Jay Graham. Assistant head coach defensive tackles Odell Higgins. Defensive coordinator defensive backs Charles Kelly. The newest member of our staff, linebackers coach Bill Miller. Co-offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Randy Sanders. Head coach of defense and defensive end, Sal Sunseri. Our head strength and conditioning coach, Vic Valoria. The football director of player personnel, Bob Lasavita. And the director of football operations is Mark Robinson. Did I forget Tim Brewster? No, I did not. Tim, you stood up, didn't you? Yeah, he did. I stand corrected. I knew I hadn't forgotten you. I can't forget Tim Brewster. I got a grandson that plays tight end one of these days, okay? Then there's the team behind the team, scores of other dedicated professionals who make a program go. The entire listing of the FSU football family is in your program, and I'd like to ask all of those folks to stand and be recognized. If your name is in the program, will you please stand right now, please? The team behind the team. Now it's time to hear from our host. Please welcome the chairman of the FSU Alumni Association's National Board of Directors from Alpharetta, Georgia, the class of 1974, Dale Green. Dale Green.
Thank you, Gene. This past year, the National Board of Directors adopted a new mission statement. It reads, "The mission of the FSU Alumni Association is to advance our university's greatness and enrich the lives of the Seminole family. Our work, which includes the management of more than 80 Seminole clubs around the nation, including a very good one here in Tallahassee, is accomplished in large part because of the engagement and support of our members. On some of the tables today are house flags, like the ones that are along the dais here. If you got one, would you hold it up if you have one of those flags? If you just, okay, they're over here. Great. This year, when you join or renew your alumni membership, your renewal will come in the mail in a very cleverly packaged flag. Our mission is important for everyone who loves FSU, and we can't do it without each of you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our Director of Athletics, who in his first year on the job won a national championship. Stan, there's no pressure. You've raised the bar pretty high. Ladies and gentlemen, Stan Wilcox.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. You know, I remember it was a year ago now that I was here for my first official duty to address this group, and what a year has it been. What a year it's been for myself, for my family, for FSU athletics. A lot has occurred in this past year. You know, since I've been here this past year, we've won 8 ACC championships, more than any ACC school. We've had 3 ACC Coaches of the Year. We've had 42 All-Americans and 2 National Players of the Year. We finished for the 8th consecutive year in the top 15 in the Directors' Cup. And to add to that, to put on top of that, as you all know, we won a national championship in football. But what's dear to my heart, as well as winning on the field, is how well our student athletes are doing in the classroom. Our student athletes this past academic year had an overall GPA of 2.9. We had, yes, clap for that. We had 161 student athletes make the dean's list. We had 29 total student athletes make the president's list. And we had 20 teams total that had a GPA of 3.0 or greater. I think you also need to be proud of our student athletes for the many hours that they put into community service work. They represent our university very well in the community. As a matter of fact, just this morning, a number of our student athletes, as well as our football student athletes, volunteered to be a part of the the bone marrow registry, which we all know helps cure many diseases, helps to find cures to many diseases, particularly one that's very dear to all of our hearts, the Fanconi anemia, which is one that we all would really love to find a cure for. And I would encourage all of you to make sure that you visit the Kids First Fun Table before you leave here today. But our kids, as I say, are not doing just well on the playing field. They're doing well in the classroom, and they are being model citizens in the community. Over this past year, we've also completed a number of facility upgrades. You'll all know that we're no longer going to have a rainbow of color of seats in the Civic Center next door to us. It'll be one color, the color that matters, Garnett. We've also made some major improvements in our football facilities, in our football team locker room, in our football coaches' offices. I dare say that you think they deserved it. They had a great year, and I know our student athletes are enjoying their new locker room, and we've done it for you guys, and we're looking forward for another great year out of you guys, and there'll be more to come as we win another national championship. I'd like to just take a quick moment to recognize my senior and executive staff. I know that many of you are here. If you would please just stand. I'd like to just thank you all. Please stand. Don't listen to the boss. Thank you. Thank you for making my year a very good year, and they are the ones that really help me keep things running. They do all the work. And this other person I'd like to acknowledge, she actually does all the work as well, my wife, Ramona. Thank you for all that you do. And most importantly, I want to, as I did last year, I want to thank all the wives, the spouses, significant others, family members of all of our football coaches, because it's without your support, our coaches can't put in the hours that they need to put into on a daily basis to make sure that we have success on the field. So thank you all for all that you do and all the support you provide to our coaching staff and support staff. Thank you. You know, as we look forward to this upcoming year, it's hard to believe it's upon us already. And I would dare say that we are very well positioned to continue the success that we've had over this past year. You know, we closed out the season last year being the team to put an end to the BCS era with a national championship. And we're here now to start a new era of the football championship series. And it will be great to start off that year, to start off this new era with another championship. I'm not putting too much pressure on you, Jimbo, but all I'm saying is I don't know what it feels like to lose a football game, and I don't want to know. You know, we're doing a lot of things coming up, and, you know, the university's getting ready to kick off a national campaign, and we in athletics have kicked off our Champions campaign. And so basically a capital campaign that will propel FSU athletics into the future. You know, the Seminole boosters with Andy Miller's leadership, you know, they're leading this effort to raise $250 million so that we can help continue to elevate Florida State athletics into the future for our fans, for our student athletes, for all our constituent organizations that come to our venues, so that our venues can be the premier venues in the country, that we can continue to attract all the top athletes that we possibly can. And I hope that you will all participate and support us as you have in the past. And I'd like to thank the Seminole Boosters for all the support that they've given to us in athletics. Now, this time, I'd like to introduce the next individual. You know, Coach Fisher knows this as well as any other coach. When you have an individual that goes down, you need somebody to step up. Well, when we lost our president this past year, we had someone that came in and stepped up right away. She has been able to continue to lead our university to become one of the top 25 premier public institutions in the country. She has done it without missing a beat, with grace and style, and she has the perfect name for this. I would like to introduce our interim president, Garnett Stokes.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. What an incredible crowd there is here today. I want to, before I actually make any further remarks, I want to recognize a couple of people who decided to join us today. I believe I looked out and noticed that we have a member of our State University System Board of Governors, Matthew Carter. Welcome. We're happy to have you. Thank you for joining us. And we also have with us today, I believe, 3 members of FSU's Board of Trustees. Leslie Pantine, I'm not sure where you went to sit, but welcome. June Duda, welcome. And Stefano Cavallero, I know that I saw you here earlier. Welcome. We're happy to have you. You know, what a great time of year to have this kickoff for the football season, because it's also the time of year when the students have started coming back. I know you recognized it because it was hard to drive around the city. It's a big change, but it is probably the most exciting time on any university campus, the beginning of the school year. And what a great time then to also kick off what we know is going to be a fabulous football season. You know, Stan mentioned that we were headed for the top 25. We have been on a march to become one of the top 25 universities in the country. And we have invested our preeminence funding from the legislature to make sure that we get there. Earlier this week, I greeted more than 100 new faculty members to Florida State University, and they are a big part of where we are headed. We are also working hard to transform the undergraduate experience. We are building our entrepreneurs in residence across the campus, and we're becoming a truly entrepreneurial university. We had a record year in research funding. For the first time, more than $230 million, a 15% increase from last year. So, thank you. That is remarkable in this type of competitive funding environment. This is a university on the rise. This is a place that knows what excellence is. Just like this football team, this is a university with the talent, the grit, and the determination to be a top public university in this country. We are champions on and off the field, and we are very happy to call ourselves Florida State University Seminoles. So I'm not going to pretend that you are here to listen to the president of Florida State University. I know what you're here for, and I think it's time to get this show on the road. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I could listen to you talk all day, Garnett. I could. Thank you very much, President Stokes. There are two players in attendance today that have scored 100-yard touchdowns at Florida State University. The late Bo Mitchell on the Seminole Radio Network back in 1965 called the first one on the Seminole Radio Network. It went something like this. Kentucky leads 14-7. Here's the kick. Billy Mormon waits in the end zone. He's going to bring it out. Mormon to the 5. He's out to the 10, to the 13. Wait a minute. He throws it across field. It's caught by Weatherall. He's got it down the sideline. Weatherall to the 50. Weatherall to the 25. Weatherall to the 5, 2, 1. Touchdown. Oh, good God, he scored a touchdown. Only the late Bo Mitchell would have said good God in that situation. But how about a big kickoff luncheon salute to old number 28, Seminole football player, legislator, Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, and the 13th President of Florida State University. T.K. Weatherall, please stand up and score another touchdown. Touchdown FSU, touchdown Florida State. Now you have met one Seminole player that scored a 100-yard touchdown. There have been 5. You'll meet the latest in a little bit. Players, offense on one side, defense on the other. If you'll please stand up and come forward, we're going to introduce you, okay? This is always an adventure. There's your Seminole football team. We're going to get in position. All right. Okay, I'm going to need the defense over here. All right, Jalen, if they don't follow my directions, you point them in the right direction, okay? In offense over here, and Jameis, if they need some help, you tell them which way to go. Special teams with the offense. Special teams with the offense. Good to see TK here. I saw him at practice the other day, and he looks like he's ready to put that jersey back on. Before we meet our 2014 team and the guy that returned that most recent kickoff, 100 yards, a quick direction on procedure. We will exit the arena today through the back door. As you know, the Tucker Center is undergoing renovations. It's going to be a beautiful facility when completed, hopefully before basketball season. So rather than exiting the traditional way up the escalator and out the front, help us avoid the construction by exiting through the back doors. Again, exit through the back doors. I know it'll be sort of a log jam there like the Red Sea getting closed up, but that's the way we have to go. And it won't be long before your Donald L. Tucker Center will be completely renovated. I think we're ready to meet the team. We're going to do it by class and by position. Ready defense. Ready offense. Here we go. Let's begin by meeting our defensive ends. Freshman Lorenzo Featherston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Lorenzo Featherston. We always start with freshmen for that reason. Lorenzo Featherston. Welcome to Tallahassee. From Middletown, Maryland, freshman Rick Leonard. Sophomore DeMarcus Walker from Jacksonville. One junior, one senior. From Goshen, Mississippi, Mario Edwards, Jr. Senior defensive end from Miami, Desmond Holland. Those are your defensive ends. Here come the big guys, the tackles from Delray Beach, Florida. Freshman Keith Bryant, number 95. Freshman from Bradenton, DeMarcus Christmas. From Miami, a legacy player, Frederick Jones. Remember his dad and uncle, Fred Jones. Freshman Derek Noddy from Virginia Beach. Derek wears number 91. Freshman Adam Torres from Lake Mary. That's Kevin Corp's own town. Welcome, Adam Torres. Freshman from Fayetteville, North Carolina, Arthur Williams. And Fred, if your uncle Marvin Jones needed to find some shade, just stand next to Williams there, huh? Arthur Williams, big fella. From Prattville, Alabama, sophomore Justin Shanks. Here are our juniors from Wellington, Florida, Brad Bentz. Washington, D.C., Eddie Goldman. From Fort Lauderdale, Niall Lawrence Stample. Another legacy player at FSU from Jacksonville, Derek Mitchell Jr. And from Fort Pierce, Giorgio Newberry. Those are your defensive tackles. Here come the linebackers. A bunch of freshmen from Jacksonville, Kane Dobb. Number 46, Kane Dobb. From Orlando, Roderick Hoskins. From Fairhope, Alabama, freshman Nick Patty. From Tallahassee, Jacob Pugh. Two more freshmen from Cantonment, Delvin Purifoy. And from Miami, Matthew Thomas. Three sophomores in the linebacker group from Stone Mountain, Georgia, Ukeme Alegwe. From Miami Beach, Joseph Hernandez. And from Woodbridge, Virginia, E.J. Levenberry. Three junior linebackers from Jacksonville, Reggie Northrup. From Decatur, Georgia, Terrence Smith. From Royal Palm Beach, Florida, Anthony Valdez. One senior linebacker from Pompano Beach, Florida, junior St. Louis. Your linebackers now in the secondary. Some young freshman defensive backs. First, from Miami, Alfredo Davis. From Jessup, Georgia, Malik Jackson. From Jacksonville, Tyrell Lyons. And from Lake City, Trey Marshall. Now sophomore defensive backs from Dothan, Alabama, Marquez White. From Fairhope, Alabama, Nate Andrews. Sophomore from San Antonio, Texas, Colin Blake. Sophomore from Tallahassee, Reginald Dixon Jr. And from Smyrna, Tennessee, Jalen Ramsey. Here are your juniors in the secondary. Port St. Lucie native LaMarcus Brutus. Junior from Oxon Hill, Maryland, Ronald Darby. From Panama City, junior Javian Elliott. From Valdosta, Tyler Hunter. Two more juniors from Fort Pierce, Keelan Smith. And from Ocala, P.J. Williams. And the lone senior in the secondary. From Groveland, Florida, Nick Wasom. Nick Wasom, senior. Senior cornerback. All right, that's your defense. How about a big round of applause? Your Florida State defense. Last year's defense led the nation in interceptions. You know the mark to make, fellas. Now let's meet the special teams. First, long snapper, freshman from Tallahassee, Florida. Another legacy player, Stephen Gabbard. Stephen's a freshman. Our senior long snapper hails from Fort Lauderdale. That's Danny Adams. Danny Adams. Two punters, both. One sophomore, one a junior from Bradenton, Florida, Jonathan Hernandez. And from Charlotte, North Carolina, Kaysen Beatty. Number 38, Kaysen Beatty. Your place kickers, a freshman, a sophomore. From Tallahassee, freshman Ryan Feely. And sophomore from Mascot, Florida, Roberto Aguayo. When it comes down to it and you need points on the board, there are your special teams performers. Long snappers, punters, place kickers. Are you ready to meet the offense? Let's begin with the freshman offensive lineman. From Mobile, Alabama, Wilson Bell. From Mechanicsville, Virginia, Alec Eberly. From New Orleans, Louisiana, Ryan Hofield. From Florissant, Missouri, Roderick Johnson. Two more freshmen. From Havana, Derek Kelly. From Tampa, Corey Martinez. Let's not forget freshman from La Plata, Maryland, Brock Rubel. All freshmen. Big freshman. Sophomore offensive lineman from Miramar, Marcel Benalcazar. From Valrico, just south of Tampa, Keith Weeks. 3 juniors in the OL. From Floral Park, New York, Kareem R. From Miami, Reuben Carter. And from Sparta, New Jersey, Chad Mavetti. Now here are your senior offensive linemen. First from Fort Lauderdale, Austin Barron, center. From Moultrie, Georgia, Cameron Irving. From Lauderhill, Bobby Hart. From Jessup, Georgia, Trey Jackson. From Fort Walton Beach, Cody J. From Union City, New Jersey, Josue Matias. And from Boynton Beach, Larry Levy. Offensive line, the tight ends. 3 freshmen from Highlands Lake, New Jersey, Ryan Izzo. From St. Petersburg, Jeremy Kerr. From Bimini, the Bahamas, Maven Saunders. From Annandale, New Jersey, Kevin Hapley. And from Palm Beach, Florida, Nick O'Leary. Next, the wide receivers, freshman first. From Lakeland, Florida, Javon Harrison. From Monticello, Jared Jackson. From Homestead, Florida, Ermond Lane. From Tampa, Justin Motlow. From West Palm Beach, Travis Rudolph. From Milton, Florida, Isaiah Jones. From Gainesville, Brian Lasavita. From Orlando, Kermit Whitfield. There's your second 100-yard kickoff returner in the building right there. Kermit Whitfield. Just a tad faster than TK. From Miami, Florida, Jesus Bobo Wilson. Now a handful of senior wide receivers. For Miami Gardens, Rashad Golston. From Tampa, they call him Pops, Christian Green. From Albany, Georgia, we call him Mr. Touchdown, Rashad Green. From Lakeland, Jared Scooter Higgins. And from Jupiter, Dan O'Neill. Those are your wide receivers for the team of 2014. Here are your running backs. Keep your eyes open there real quick. Freshman from Miami, Dalvin Cook. From Quincy, Jonathan Vickers. 2 sophomore runners from St. Petersburg, Ryan Green. From Cape Coral, Mario Pender. From Lithia, Will Burnham. And from Davenport, Carlos Williams. Your running backs. Next. Quarterback. Wait. I got to put the fullbacks up here. Did I forget? Yeah, I did. Do we? Fullbacks. Sophomore from Bartow, Freddie Stevenson. And Freddie's a sophomore. And senior from Vero Beach, Cameron Buddy. Don't want to forget the fullbacks, do we? Quarterback next. 3 freshmen from Miami, Troy Cook. From Pittsburgh, J.J. Cosentino. We got a 2-position quarterback, a freshman from Plantation, Florida, John Franklin III. Also plays some wide receiver. And 2 sophomores from Sparta, New Jersey, Sean McGuire. And sophomore from Bessemer, Alabama, Jameis Winston. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2014 Florida State Seminoles. You have just met them today, together as a team at our 63rd annual Kickoff Luncheon. Now, before we bring up our head coach, I want to remind you on the way out the door this afternoon, the back door, as a reminder to visit with the vendor tables in the foyer, purchase one-of-a-kind FSU items, and learn about our most important FSU organizations. I want to acknowledge also, before we bring up our head coach, the Downtown Rotary Club of Tallahassee with about 100 members here today, including the winners of the Make Tallahassee Home campaign. That's a project by the Downtown Rotary Club. And the first group to make Tallahassee home is the couple of Bill and Kathy Campbell from New Hampshire. They're in their first week of a year-long visit to the state capital of Tallahassee. Bill and Kathy, this is how we do football in Tallahassee, Florida. Welcome. Welcome to the greatest city in the Sunshine State, Tallahassee, Florida. Has there ever been a Florida State football season like 2013? Has there ever been one like it? I don't think so. Pinball scores like 59-3, 62-7, 63-0, 80-14, and 37-7. A season capped by a handful of individual awards and a bushel load of all-conference and all-American awards, and a season capped by one of the most fantastic, if not the most fantastic finish in football championship history. Has there ever been a season like 2013? There has not been. Now I bet you're wondering, what can we do for an encore? Well, I'll bet there's a process involved. I thought I'd get a bigger chuckle out of the football players. Let me say that again. I think there will be a process involved. And here to give his State of the Seminoles address for 2014 is the best college football coach in America. He is your head coach. It is Jimbo Fisher. Stand up with a Seminole cheer. There's a process involved.
Yeah, I like it.
Thanks for the fullback. I flipped the page.
Well, we're here again, aren't we? Is that on? Can you hear me? There we go. I guess the season's begun. As I always say, this kickoff luncheon always starts our season. And I actually took out some notes and things of, like I say this every year, it's almost like a repeat. But like I tell our players, they say, Coach, you say the same things. I said, well, when the reason for winning and losing change, I'll change, and I'll say different things. But, it is great to be here. This kind of kicks off the season. Say when you start to hear the war chant and the band, and we're starting to hear it as they're practicing over on the fields, on the band field, and you start to hear that, man. It just, kicks a little. You're feeling sorry for yourself. It's 2-a-days. You've been through the hot August practice, and all of a sudden you start to hear that song. You start to hear that song. You start to hear that song. Actually, that one motivates us more than the one in the stadium, because in those 2-a-days now, you're pretty dead tired. It reminds you what you're out there for. It is great, but it is great to be here. And before we start, I definitely want to say some things about our support staff. Everyone pats the coaches and everyone on the back for all the things we've done and the players, but like I say, it takes everyone to be a champion. There's no doubt. And our support staff and our wives, I would like, although we have the wives here from all the assistant coaches, and I want to please recognize every one of them. And start with Sal Sinceri's wife, Roxanne. Please stand. Kathy Brewster. Now, I don't believe Chantel Lawrence's wife is here, but Chantel Dawsey. Kelly, is Kelly here, Jay? Okay. Robin Odell. She finally wised up. I'm teasing. But Christy Kelly, Charles Kelly's wife. Lisa Miller, Bill Miller's wife. Kathy Sanders, is Kathy here, Randy? Yes, she is back there, Kathy. Tara Trickett, Rick's wife. I'll refrain from all the comments. They've all heard them. Is Randy Valori here, Vic's wife? All right. Michelle Lasavita, Bob Lasavita's wife. Mark, is your wife here? I don't believe. Mark, I don't even see. I don't know if Mark can be over somewhere else. But all those wives, you don't understand, as Gene said, we're going so much. They're the mothers, there's the fathers. They do everything so we can do what we do, and it is a special thanks. But also our support staff in the office. You have no idea. You talk about coaches and the hours we put in, but our support staff, our secretaries do it, and it's amazing the amount of time. And sometimes I tell them to go home. I say, just go home. We'll figure it out. You've been here too many hours every weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday, and they're just relentless. My special assistant, my secretary, Joy Beach, who's second to none. Joy, please. Allie Jones. Is Allie here? Please. Nicole Lamar. Is Nicole? Daphne. There we go. Logan McMahon. And Carol Moore. Is Carol here? There we go, back there. Please, you do not understand how much these ladies do. You have no idea what they do, so we can do what we do. And then, of course, my wife, Candy. Please stand. She puts up with a lot, there's no doubt. But as we get kicked off, as I said, I do sit and I think of things to say, and I try to change it up, but it's hard. It really is, because the reasons that you have success, they don't change. And I think that's one of the keys to this season. You've heard me say it to our players. You've probably heard me say it in the press. Don't get bored. Don't get bored. I think we often do that as people, as a human race. We want to do something different. We want to keep changing. We think there's something bigger and better. And there are always changes out there that you got to tweak and turn. But if you go back to it, just like traditions of school. Someone told me a long time ago, just because you do things differently day to day does not mean you change tradition. Just so your core values don't change. The traditions of a university never change. Coach Bowden brought a lot of core values to this university a long time ago. There are a lot of the same ones that I hold true to my heart today. It's exactly the same ones I do. Now, we may operate a different way. We may go about our business in a different way. But that's what tradition is. That's the core values. And for us to be successful, we have to keep those core values. We'll tweak and turn, but the foundation of our program is always going to stay the same. It can't change, because that's the reason we have success. But, everyone keeps, I want to say another thanks too, is we keep reflecting on the past and say, you got to go in the future. And, I want to reflect on the past a minute. I'm proud of the things we did last year. Of course, we're not content with those. We want to move on and do and to the future and bigger and better things. But, you know, you learn from the past. You learn from your history, good and bad, what you do well, what you do poorly, and you make corrections constantly. But, you know, some of the things that I think about last year's team, everyone talked about the points you scored, how great you were on defense, how you had the best kicker, and you had this and you had that. But the word that comes to my mind, and I've said it to our team a million times, is the word selfless. It was the most selfless group of individuals I've ever been around in my life. We had a saying, and I say, you've probably heard me say it a million times, play don't care who makes it. Play doesn't care who makes it. There's plays to be made in every game. Our guys didn't care. Just so someone made it, then it became infectious. And I want to make the next one. I want to make the next one. And at the same time, I want to make it not because it lets me be me and I get singled out. It's because the guy beside me was counting on it, because he was depending on me making it. And I'm going to say something. That attitude came from one place, our assistant football coaches. There's no doubt I wouldn't trade our staff for anybody's staff in America. Because I'm going to tell you something. I sit in a room, and I don't want to break a staff meeting because I enjoy being in a room with them. I've been on great teams in my life. Guys have won national championships, different places. You go in, you have your meetings. Hey, let's go do our business. Let's go home. Let's be a part. It's not like that with our staff. They genuinely care about each other. And I always say this, kids reflect their parents. They do what they see at home. Players reflect their coaches. They do what they're around every day. And they feel if there's tension in the room, if there's people who are wanting another job or wanting to do this or wanting, I know more than you or I know more than this. It hadn't worked that way. I sit in the staff. I create reasons to stay in the staff room. I tell them that now. Now they'll be running out there on purpose. They knew something was going on. But I do. I create because I like being around them. But their infectious attitude, not only their ability, their knowledge to recruit, their knowledge to coach X and O's, their knowledge of all the things that you have to do as a coach, but their personalities and their ability to be selfless and understand that we all have to have each other. Because everyone, the thing that happens when you win a championship that's so scary, everyone wants to be the reason why. Everybody. From the head coach to the assistant coach to the star player to the lowest player to the president to the AD to the no offense, Stan. but everybody wants to be that reason. But the truth about it is, it's not. It's all of us collectively. It's all of us collectively because, like I said, you hear me say it all the time. If winning was easy, everyone would do it. It's hard. And the biggest thing that gets in the way is our own egos and our own me, I do everything. And of course, at home, Candy says that's all I talk about. I, and me. Yeah. So I get reminded of that every day. That's why you get reminded every day, Sal. So you can thank Candy for that, okay? That 10-minute lecture you get every day, you can thank Candy. All right? But it's true. And you got to remember, we spend so much time after a season or whatever you do, and we always look at things you do and what can I get better at? Where can I correct things? What have I not done as well? And you have to do that. But if you dwell on those things, you spend all the time over there, you forget all the things you did well. We changed our philosophy a little bit in the offseason. We went back and we reflected on the things in which we did well as a staff, from relating to players, coaching players, the relationships we had with them, the X and O's part. I mean, everything from A to Z. Because in athletics, the whole key is to repeat. That's what we're here for. We want to repeat. And that's what athletics is about. It's consistency and performance over a long period of time. That's what greatness is. And to do it over and over and over and over and over. And sometimes it gets boring to go out there and do the same thing at work over and over and over. But you know, there's a saying we tell our players, just like I tell everybody else. And I'll get to some points with the boosters and the fans that you can jump in on this too. Everybody says, well, you practice till you do it right. No. Anybody can do it right once. Sometimes 2 times, sometimes 3 times. The object is to practice till you can't do it wrong. You do it so much that it creates a habit. You know no other way to walk, talk, eat, breathe, think, perform, put your hat here, put your hands here, put your eyes here, take a step that way. You do it so many times you can't do it wrong. Because when pressure comes, those habits are going to come straight to the surface. What you do on a day-to-day basis, over and over and over and over. And I'll say that again. We didn't win and drive 80 yards in a minute 13 because we wanted to. They did it because those guys back there trained to and they committed themselves to. That's why we were able to overcome in those situations. And guys, if you've been in those situations, you understand it. The pressure comes, It's hard work. One of my challenges to the players and to everyone else, don't get bored. Don't get bored doing the things you do. Don't take things for granted. Sometimes you take things for granted, you don't always come back. We've had, and it happens in sports, it happened in here. You have a run, and all of a sudden it begins. It's very easy to slide. I can say, people ask me, what are you going to do? I said, well, I read a lot of books on how to get there. There ain't no books on how to stay there. There's not many up there because not many have. Not many people have. That's the challenge. But you know what? That's what athletics is. It's what life is day to day. Everything's a challenge. Everything's a challenge. And I like when people tell you can't do something. It's motivating you. But we can't live in the past, but we can learn from it, just like we say. But it's just like what Andy and them are doing now with the Champions Tour and going out in the foundation raising money. Because there's two things. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. Everybody says you're going to maintain. There's no such thing in life as maintaining. Everybody's trying to bypass you. Everybody's trying to move past you. It doesn't work that way. And that's where my challenge comes to boosters and fans. We need you. We need you. We have to keep progressing. And as Mike, you come on the back, you're fine, Mike. I got a lot of ideas now. Head of the booster group over there, I got a lot of ideas, I promise you. Okay? But we have to. Because we can't stand still and wait for people to catch us. Life doesn't work that way. You know something? I know there's a couple other schools in this state don't have an indoor practice facility, don't live in the same place we do, don't have office buildings like we do, don't have a stadium like we do, don't have practice facilities like we do. Don't think they don't make a difference. Don't think that doesn't make a difference. Maybe that's the first time in the history, because all them others supposed to have everything, right? Ain't they supposed to have everything? Maybe Florida State's got more than they got now. Maybe we'll stay on top and keep things that they don't have. There's an old adage in this world, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. You can't expect to give little and get a lot. It just doesn't work that way. We tell our players all the time, you don't always get what you want, you get what you deserve. And that's what Andy and them stepping up now to say, you know what, we're not content on where we're at right now. Do I mean that is definitely going to win championships? I don't know. But it's going to create a culture around here of excellence. We tell our players every day, we live by this motto. Every day we're striving to reach perfection, knowing full well we'll never reach it, but in the meantime we'll find excellence. And you never find perfection. You can't. If you ever do, you need to quit. You need to get out of the business. You need to move on. Because when good enough becomes good enough, somebody's going to pass you up. When you think you invented it, when you think you're bigger than the game, when you think you're bigger than anything you do, it all moves by us. As a player, as a coach, as a booster, as a fan, as anything in life you do, it's the key. Good enough can never be good enough. Every day is 0-0. What have you done? We talked to the Navy SEALs, and they have some creeds. And they said the only easy day was yesterday. That's the creed in which they live by. The only easy day is yesterday. We had a lot of guys come in and speak to our team, and we had some phenomenal people. We had Chris Herring, who was, if you saw him 30 for 30, was a great athlete who got caught up in drugs and alcohol. We had John Lucas, another guy who was first pick in the NBA draft, dealt with drugs and alcohol to deal with a lot of issues for these kids, to educate them all the pitfalls and things that can happen to them. We had Ronnie Lott come in. One of the greatest football players, probably the greatest defensive back of all time, completely all the way around. 4 Super Bowl rings, won a national championship, Pro Football Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame. Rated the 10th best player in the history of football, all the way around. We had a guy named Marcus Luttrell. Y'all know who Marcus Luttrell is. You ever seen the movie Lone Survivor? And he come in and he talked to us, and he talked about that creed of the only easy day was yesterday. And he told us about the bond in which they developed in Bud School and how they self-policed each other. That the instructors didn't kick guys out, they kicked guys out. Because every day, that guy beside them that they depended upon, it wasn't just a missed tackle or a lost game. It was a life if they weren't willing to pay that price, if they weren't willing to pay that bond. And he told us his story, the things he overcame, the things he did. It's amazing that we take for granted in this world the things that we have, the freedoms we have here, that there's a lot of people out there in this world that are paying a heck of a price for us to sit here and enjoy football, enjoy the things we do. And I would like to take a special moment just to say a thank you to them. I really would. And I think he woke our guys' minds up to what you're capable of doing when you get in a certain mindset. And that's going to be our challenge. You know, I'm going to try and keep this short. I really am. We're committed to raising more money. We're selling more season tickets. But I'm going to tell you, boosters and fans, I challenge you. Every time we walk in Doak Campbell Stadium, you want a national champion, you got a national champion. Every time we walk in there, I want a national championship crowd. I want it full. I want it to the max. You walk out and it makes a difference. You want us to go play in a semifinal game? You want us to play in a championship game? Don't think it doesn't matter. Because I'm going to tell you something. It's energy you get, but I'm going to tell you what else. It creates a culture that your kids get used to. Every time they walk in a big environment, people said in the first half, boy, I didn't want to watch. You know, it was the first time all year that our kids wanted to win a game more than they wanted to play a game. And we talk about it all the time. They forgot the process, Gene. They forgot the process for a second. Not because they were undisciplined, because they really wanted something. Their dreams were right there at the end of their fingertips. They could smell it, they could see it, that they wanted to win a championship. And they were trying so hard, they weren't playing and thinking. And we've all done it. You've all walked out of a big moment and said, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. And I was prepared for the moment. And we don't do it. But I'm going to tell you something. The atmosphere, the environment, when you can create, the more times you create it in Doak Campbell Stadium, every time we walk out there, if we're in a national championship game, when you go play those games, it becomes the norm for those guys. They get used to it and say, you know what, that's just like we played at home. That's just like we played at home. And that's my challenge, for you to give, you to be there, and you to be a national championship crowd and create that atmosphere and environment, because it does matter. That's my challenge to you. To our players, as I've said, I've read everything in the world. Why we can, why we can't. Everybody's got 10 reasons why we can. And like I tell them, that's everybody patting you on the back. What I tell you, don't eat the cheese. Don't eat the cheese. Don't buy into it. Don't buy into it. I've also heard 100 reasons why we can't. Well, it's only been done this time. It's only been done this, that, the other. It's a new era. It can't be done. Well, I don't like to be told anything. Most of y'all know. Let's just be honest about it. I am a little hard-headed that way. But, you know, it's going to get down to three things. And I call them the 3 Ps. Last year I said, yeah, I had one of them, but I think there's 3 of them when you really get down to it. First of all is our passion. If that group of guys back there has a passion to be great, they will. And passion is something that's hard to describe. I think these 3 Ps, anything you do in life, if you don't have them, you don't get to where you're going. Passion is something that's, like I say, it's hard to describe, but it's easy to see. It's a drive, it's a belief, it's something that is on your mind all the time. You find reason, when you're passionate about something, you find the reasons to create, to get to whatever you have to have. The other one's priorities. Priorities are, to me, the keys of life. Because what it does, what I call eliminating the clutter, the things that don't matter. We want to do everything. If we want to be a champion, if we want to be great, if we want to walk the dog again, we can't do what everybody else does. You win championships, you're great. You can't do what normal people do. They're asking you to do things that are abnormal. They're asking you to live a life that's different. That's why you're in it. That's why you're at Florida State. That's the expectation. That's the goal every year. Every year. But it gets back to, if it's important enough to you and it's passionate enough to you, your priorities get in line. I got to do this today. I got to do this today. I got to do this today. If I can get through that, guess what? I'm good. If I got an extra free time, then I do it. But when you're talking about a 6-month commitment, you're talking about what the things, the blood, sweat, and tears in which you've laid on the line for a year to get in preparation for what we are right now. It's like I said, every team has that 1-year life expectancy. It's identity, it's personality, it's work ethic, it's attitude. All those things get developed, and they're all changed, just like everybody's kids. Everybody says, why can't you do it the same way? Well, all the kids, like I tell you, you hear me say this all the time. 2 kids in the same household, they don't act the same. They don't think the same. They have different attitudes. They're different people. Teams are different. They can be great in their own way. Maybe we don't do what last year's team did, but we stress the things that we do this year. But if you prioritize and it's important enough to you, you will be great. There's no doubt. And last is that word which I talked about last year was called persistence. Persistence is something that it just gets in your craw. And it's about the details. The devil's in the details. It's about the discipline. Am I willing to do it right over and over and over and over? Am I willing to do what Marcus Luttrell did and never give up when he fell off 3 mountaintops, when he broke his back in the first minute of the fight, when he killed over 25 or 30 enemy, when he crawled for 7 miles on his elbows across 3 mountaintops and was paralyzed from his waist down to live. You know why? Because he trained to. That's what he did. He had the discipline to do it. He had the inner fortitude to do it, and he cared about someone beside him to do it. And more importantly, he had a drive within himself. Your persistence can't be measured. Your persistence and the ultimate thing is who you become. Because how persistent, we all have ability. God gave us a lot of ability back there. They wouldn't be here. That's a gift. Their attitude is the choice they make that allows them to make these other choices. Because in the end of the day, the choices you make you. The decisions you make you. You have to live them. The consequences good, you have to live the consequences bad. There's going to be adversity in this deal. There's going to be joy in this deal. There's going to be saying, well, they won by 40 last year. How come they're winning by 10 or 15? Or we're winning by 60 maybe. Maybe this team, I don't know. There'll be a lot of opinions. But if we can have great passion, we can set our priorities, and we're persistent, we'll create what I say we live by every day. That's your habits. Because when pressure comes, those habits are going to come straight to the surface. And you either have them or you don't. Florida State football is based on great habits. Florida State football is based on great character. Florida State football is based on greatness because we create the great habits. And that's what we have to live by. That's what we will live by. And that's what you're going to see on the field this year. Because I'm going to tell you this, I'm very proud of this football team. I don't know. We don't know how this team's going to go. That's the thing about athletics. That's why we love them. Everybody says it's entertainment. No, it's competition. And there is a difference. It's not entertainment. It's entertaining to watch. Because entertainment, when you do it wrong, they get say, that's another take. Let me do that over. I wish I could do that sometime. It doesn't work that way. This is about competition. You're going to be challenged in ways you never thought. There's going to be obstacles come up. There's going to be guys get hurt. There's going to be guys have this. That's why we as a group have the passion to watch athletics. That's what athletics is built on, the unknown. And a lot of folks ain't got the guts to walk out there and do it in front of 83,000 people or 10 million people on a TV and get judged. Those guys do. They do it every week. That's what makes them special. There's a special group of guys sitting back there. I'm anxious to see what they can achieve. I know what's in their heart. I know what kind of ability they have. I know how hard they've worked. Like we told them last night, they all love music, right? They all love music. Music is composed of a lot of things. It's words and it's music. It's the tune. A lot of guys know the words. Some guys can't carry a tune. That's me when I sing. Okay? That doesn't make a song. What our goal between now and next Friday is, and as we continue throughout the year, is to match the words with the music so we got a song. And that's what we have to do. But I believe they do. I'm very anxious. I think that's an extremely talented football team. I think it's a very high character football team standing back there. I'm anxious to watch them compete too. I hope you are too. I look forward to seeing you in Dallas a couple times, and then we'll see each other in Doak Campbell, okay? Thank you very much.
Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play. Thank you very much for attending our 63rd annual Kickoff Luncheon here at the Donald L. Tucker Center. Good luck and go Noles. 8 days from today, it's Dallas. And then on January 12th, we'll see you there as well. What do you think? Go Seminoles. Thank you.